What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and some new details just released today on President Joe Biden's revised Build Back Better agenda, and they're keeping a lot of us in the dark as to what's going on in order to not disrupt negotiations which have been going on for quite some time. This is your stimulus package, Build Back Better, and stimulus check update. Now, take a look at some of these headlines coming out, you guys. Biden to sidestep Build Back Better proposals in his budget. President's budget will not detail agenda's costs and tax hikes. Placeholder strategy aims to avoid disrupting Congress talks. So they are not going to be letting us know the costs of these right now at this time. They're not letting us know how much is allocated, budget amounts, anything like that having to do with stimulus provisions. They're saying we do not want to disrupt negotiations. They're finally starting to get some traction, some progress. We're hearing that Joe Manchin is on board. He's helping assemble this. We heard that their time to start this is going to be in April, hopefully finishing it April, May. It's happening right now, but they don't want to cause any issues. So right now, they are saying we are not divulging any numbers at this time. However, take a look at this, you guys, just coming out today as well from Business Insider. Biden wants to make sure that billionaires pay at least 20% income tax, including on their massive pandemic-era stock gains. Now, this could be huge, you guys. That could be a massive tax, 20%, including on stock gains. Now, that right there is very interesting because usually you're taxed on realized gains. So if you own a bunch of stocks and they increase in value, you don't pay taxes on it until you go to sell. But if you do not sell, you don't pay on that. So I'm not really sure how that works. And what if the stocks drop? Do they have to get paid for their losses? Let me know your thoughts. We're going to dive into the details, but these are some of the things coming out today proposed as President Joe Biden is trying to make progress on stimulus packages. And also, for those of you that follow me here on the channel, as you know, stimulus checks as well have been getting a whole lot of traction. I was sharing with you in my last video that we've been hearing that on a federal level, Congress is proposing gas stimulus checks and inflation stimulus checks. And things are intensifying with Russia. Over the weekend, President Biden had suggested that Vladimir Putin should not be in control anymore. Now, sounded like Russia, but they clarified later, the White House, that he actually meant in control of Ukraine. But Russia was not very happy with those comments. And the longer that this goes on and the more that war intensifies, the more we're going to be feeling the pain at the pump and with inflation, which is causing Congress to suggest more stimulus provisions, more stimulus checks. Now, I'll keep you up to date here on the channel, but you guys, let's dive into the latest and get you caught up. But before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. Don't forget, if you appreciate the updates, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps me out a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, totally free, come join the Ram fam. I'll let you know everything going on. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, I'm easy to get a hold of directly. All you got to do is hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3, and also consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. More content coming to that channel here very soon. Keep an eye out in the month of April. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right into these articles, get you caught up as to what's coming out today, being revealed by President Joe Biden about new stimulus provisions. All right, so first up, let's talk about this billionaire tax, and then we're going to be talking about the Build Back Better bill and the details that we have so far. Now, let me know your thoughts on this billionaire tax. They're saying this could raise literally billions of dollars, tons of money to help out reduce the deficit, help provide additional funding, maybe even more stimulus provisions. However, do you feel that it's fair to tax billionaires, to tax people just because they've had success over time? Or do you think that they're using loopholes and things like that they shouldn't be, and they need to pay their fair share in taxes? Well, link in the description below to this article just came out 3 hours ago. This was introduced today. Biden wants to make sure that billionaires pay at least 20% income tax, including on their massive pandemic-era stock gains. And that is, that is going to throw a wrench in things. This is going to be very interesting to see how this unfolds, because unrealized gains, usually you don't pay until you sell. So this would be very interesting. And like I said, what if they have losses Are they going to compensate them for their losses, or is this just a one-way street? Take a look, you guys. Link in the description below. President Joe Biden introduced a new minimum tax on billionaires on Monday, today, part of an effort to ensure that the wealthiest slice of Americans pay at least some tax on their growing fortunes. The plan would set up a 20% minimum tax rate on households worth up to $100 million or more. During the pandemic, America's billionaires added $1.7 trillion to their cumulative wealth, per the left-leaning Americans for Tax Fairness. Now, the proposals remedies the single biggest failings of the tax code: the massive accumulation of wealth regularly goes untaxed, and said Seth Lannon, a senior fellow of the tax experts of the left-leaning Center of American Progress, in an email. The proposal is carefully designed to ensure that it only affects the wealthiest 0.01% of people, and does so in a way that is practical and administrable. Under the newly proposed tax called the Billionaire's Minimum Income Tax, members of America's 0.01% will have their income taxed at a minimum of 20%. Notably, that income will include unrealized gains from assets like stocks and bonds. Wow. It's the latest attempt by the Biden administration to target some of the massive gains that Americans' wealthiest have accumulated to pay for Democrats' priorities and to cut down the deficit. But previous attempts to raise taxes have been thwarted by fellow Democrats. Now, America's wealthiest see most of their income come not from big paychecks, but from assets like stocks that grow in value over time. And shout out to my second channel. That's exactly one of the things that I learned when I sought out a multimillionaire to help me change my financial life. Assets, real estate, stocks, business. We need to focus on those if we want to get financial success. However, those assets are generally only taxed when they are sold. As we mentioned, those are called capital gains, and they're taxed at a far lower rate than traditional income. When the assets are not sold off, the value that they accumulate is called unrealized capital gains, which typically is not taxed. But under the White House proposal, unrealized capital gains would be counted as part of income. Wow. So not only being taxed, but included as income tax. This means that the wealthiest Americans will be taxed at a minimum of 20% of their full income, standard taxable income, plus unrealized income. If they're already paying that, they won't owe more. But those who are underpaying or under this new proposal will owe more to the federal government. They would get 5 years to comply with the new tax rules. And one of the people that comes to my mind is, they're talking about right here, Elon Musk. It says some billionaires like Tesla CEO Elon Musk would pay a lot more in taxes to the federal government. Musk's tax bill would amount to an extra $50 billion over the course of 10 years, according to calculations from Gabriel Zuckman. And Elon Musk, he becomes the richest person in the world as Tesla stock goes up. So he has a lot of value of Tesla in his portfolio. And then when it goes down, he's no longer the richest person in the world. So this would be a huge hit. You can see $50 billion in additional taxes just from Elon Musk alone. Now, other Democrats in Congress have similar proposals, such as Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, who unveiled a plan back in late October to tax roughly 700 billionaires. And Senator Ron Wyden is a very creative congressman. He's actually the one that came up with the federal unemployment benefits, PUA, PEUC, and that $300 per week boost. That tax focused solely on unrealized capital gains, taxing them at the usual gains at 23.8%. The Nonpartisan Joint Committee of Taxation estimated that Wyden's tax would bring in an extra $557 billion over the course of a decade. The White House estimates that their version will bring in $360 billion, so something similar written up by Senator Ron Wyden. Now, previously, the White House found that the 400 wealthiest families pay just about 8.2% in income taxes annually when unrealized gains are factored in, far lower than the average taxpayer. But it's unclear whether congressional Democrats will coalesce around the plan. Republicans are generally opposed to tax increases, and they are likely to view the Biden's proposal as punitive. Late last year, there was a significant unease among rank-and-file Democrats over Wyden's, and Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia, assailed it as divisive, and the proposal fell out of consideration soon after. His office didn't immediately respond to requests for comments. And during negotiations of Biden's Build Back Better plan, which we're going to be discussing here in just a second, Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona torpedoed attempts to raise individuals and corporate income tax rates. Her office didn't immediately respond to a request for comments either. So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions there. Like I said, what about unrealized losses for billionaires? Also, could this lead to people worth, say, $1 million? They want to start controlling some of their assets, their unrealized gains. Could this lead to other things? Those are some of the things that are just popping up in my mind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that they should do this? It could be good, or do you think that it could lead to things that could be bad? Now, let's talk about Build Back Better. Link in the description below to this Bloomberg article that says Biden to sidestep Build Back Better proposals in his budget. Now, the article says that President Joe Biden will broadly endorse the climate, social safety net, and tax code changes that the White House has pursued as a part of his Build Back Better agenda in his budget proposal on Monday, today, but he won't specify the costs or revenues in bid to avoid disrupting congressional negotiations, which I think right now everybody wants to see this get done, so anything they can do to cause negotiations to keep progressing and not slow down, we would probably be in favor for it, because those that want to see this done want to make sure that negotiations progress. Instead, the fiscal 2023 budget document will include a placeholder known as the Deficit Neutral Reserve Fund, signaling Biden's commitment to sweeping policy changes without spelling out the costs and the benefits. So, if you want to see this go through, the good news is they're making progress on it. The bad news is that we have not worked out any of the numbers because, as you know, there have been discrepancies between conservative Democrats and progressive Democrats as to what the numbers should be, but they're progressing with placeholders where numbers would go. Now, as a result, Biden's budget tables won't include the prices of proposals such as universal free preschool and expanded child tax credit. As a lot of people are wondering, is that going to be included? Well, right here they're saying it might be, but we don't have amounts yet. And funding to combat climate change, and also won't assume deficit reductions for policies such as prescription drug reforms or tax increases on corporations and wealthy Americans. The document will simply treat the agenda, which Biden has pledged would be fully paid for, as being deficit neutral. That also means that Biden's proposal won't impact long-term projections within the budget, including what a White House official said was an anticipated $1 trillion in deficit reduction over the course of the next decade. The deficit projection was first reported by the Associated Press. So there you guys have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This article, as you read on, mentions a lot about Senator Joe Manchin and how they do not want to upset things between Joe Manchin, progressives. They just want to make sure that they can push through legislation. They're going to work out the numbers here later, but they're going to decide what provisions should be included. And as I mentioned to you in previous videos, Democrats have come out and said, listen, we have got to get something done. This is a midterm election year, and right now, way things stand, Biden's approval rating is plummeting. It's extremely low, which is not good for the fellow party members of Congress. So Democrats, who are in full control, could very likely be losing it unless they start getting things done here as they get closer to elections. And one of those things that I mentioned is stimulus checks. There is a lot of proposals, new bills coming out. We'll see if that's one of the things that they do to try to convince voters to keep them in power. Now, whatever unfolds here on the channel, I'll be sure to let you know as soon as it comes out. I'll give you the breaking news so you know what's going on. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps out the channel a ton if you appreciate the content. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date, totally free, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. If you want to reach me directly, hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3, and consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me once again, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.